Our content is the economic snapshot for this week. Not a lot of change, which is unfortunate in many of these instances for this week. Active coronavirus cases continue to climb, the UK, the US, and globally at about the same pace they were climbing last week. In Australia, they've continued to decline at the same pace that they were declining last week. That, of course, is great news and continues with that projection that I made 3 or 4 weeks ago about how Australia could very well be very close to coronavirus free by the end of May. So we're tracking very, very nicely in that country. Australia being the lucky country we discussed last week could very well be the case. The stock market indices that we look at as proxies for the global market and as a forward indicator, all red this week, but again, very, very flat as they have been for much of the last month. No new unemployment data or GDP growth data. Some relevant data, though, that has come out. The Australian Bureau of Statistics has released some information which the Treasury Department there are using for some of their forward estimates. That data suggests that presently, here at the beginning of May, there are about 1 million Australians who are out of work, which would suggest that the unemployment rate, which when last measured in late March was at 5.2%, that unemployment rate will get to about or over the 10% mark. That's a bit of a milestone figure in Australia, not only because it's a round number, which people tend to grab onto and remember, that was also where our unemployment got to during the last recession almost 30 years ago. So that's a number certainly that the Australian government will be working hard to keep low. It's a number I think we're going to see across all of those different countries. And it will be very interesting to see how many of the stimulus packages, from the furloughing in the UK to the JobKeeper in Australia, what impact those are going to have on unemployment numbers, because they're designed to aim to essentially, instead of the government funding unemployment, to fund employment, to try and keep the unemployment numbers low, keep people in jobs to a degree. One, if you jump down into the lower detail of those Treasury estimates, even though it talked about how we may be seeing 10% of the Australian workforce currently unemployed, when it broke it down into some different industry sectors, we had a look at food services and accommodation, those in hospitality, the travel, the tourism that we've just been touching on. Unemployment in some of those sectors is over 40%. And this touches on a critical point, which is the focus for this week's priority,